Welcome, everyone. Welcome back. If you were with us earlier today, my name is Terry White, worldwide design and photography evangelist for Adobe, and welcome to AdobeLive.com, where we're streaming here for 3 solid days on Photoshop, compositing, mobile apps, new projects that are coming out like Project Felix and 3D and all kinds of cool things with Photoshop. I am joined with my esteemed colleague. I'm hosting none other than Witchoria. And she did the green screen unveil for the first time. And now she's almost a floating head with an elbow.
Oh, this is too fun. I'm going to use this all the time.
So, Victoria.
Yeah?
Stop playing hide and seek with the audience. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
How was your stream yesterday?
I think I had a good time.
Did you have a good time?
A lot of people made really cool work from it. I got a bunch of tweets and Instagram DMs of people who tried the technique and did a really good job with it. So yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Hang on. Let's plug you in.
Oh, that makes sense.
We want to be able to see what you're going to do.
So I have been up since like 5 o'clock in the morning. I got up to try to shoot the sunrise.
And was the sun there?
It was not there. It was actually kind of funny because the Uber driver, I went to this place called Twin Peaks, and I think everyone from San Francisco probably knows it's like this kind of token gigantic hill. It overlooks the whole city. You can see both bridges. And I had 2 minutes to shoot before the fog completely just erased everything in sight. But I went and it was pitch black, and the Uber driver was like, "I'm not leaving you here alone. This is super creepy." So she waited with me.
That's a good Uber driver.
And then drove me back, and we watched the sunrise together.
How romantic.
Yeah.
For you and the Uber driver. All right, so with that said, welcome everyone in the chat. Daniel, thanks for being here. Arun, thanks for being here. Art, Maria, Summon, Peter, and anyone I may have missed or mispronounced your name, thanks for being here. And we are going to kick things off with what?
We are going to kick things off with, I know we've got a lot of options. I shot a lot of weird stuff today. So today I want to do a lot of
like a levitation thing?
Yeah, well,
Did
not
that work
exactly, because tomorrow my big focus is going to be on levitations and adding some complexity to those. But we didn't have the chance to shoot that much last night because we all had this fantastic dinner, and I just took a night off to kind of relax. Even though after my stream I did continue to Photoshop for another like 4 hours. But the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to show you guys the finished GIF.
Oh yeah,
from
I
yesterday.
Didn't see the finished. I know you posted, but I didn't see it.
So if I go in here.
So this, for those of you who are new or just joined us for the first time today, she built this Photoshop layered file, did some work with the lighting, text, inside kind of like this spooky woods environment, and then converted it to a neon animated GIF.
So this is what we worked on yesterday. The folders are teardrops. So yesterday, right before we finished, I was trying to figure out the timing and how to get my neon to work this way. And what I realized, digging through some old files, is that, and I can open it up, or it might already be open. Oh, it's already open. Is that it was a lot more frames than I thought. And a lot of the frames, if you look at the opacity of the light folder goes down to, I don't know why it's not updating, but it goes down to,
is there a layer hiding?
Oh, here we go, yeah. 68. So I'm also playing with the opacity of the glowing letter forms. So they go in and out of between 160 here and there to kind of give that little bit of vibration.
So from 60 to 100 or 100
Yeah, but it's really subtle. So you can see the steel looks like it's going to turn off, but it never does. It adds that tension, which neon sort of has.
Yeah,
and then it makes it so it's not so awkward when the HE blinks on and off, because without that little bit of tension, it's just like, he.
Right, yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, you tone the light down on the branches below just right.
Yeah, I went back in.
Because before it was too...
I got rid of that trash that was bothering me. I kind of went in and we did a good sketch together, and then I went in, and I also, if we look really close, I went into all the branches and did my thing, where I've put the letters behind to add a little bit of depth to my weird little neon bush art. But yeah, so that's what we worked on yesterday. If I have enough time, I might get back into it today and do another one, but I figured maybe we'd show some other things,
Yeah,
some little exercises.
Absolutely. So Arun's asking how many frames?
Oh, I think it's 30 frames.
30 frames.
But it could be, actually, it might be 22.
Were the timings all sporadic?
They're all actually, there's no timing difference, but I noticed, I was trying to export for Instagram, export a video. And it gets way faster when you export for video.
Yeah, I saw that last
I noticed
night,
another thing too. I guess I can just show it to you guys. I had also, do you see how quick that is? It's like,
yeah.
So I had to slow it down. So I added in a 1 second delay on the first frame, so it kind of.
Now it's funny how we all approach things differently. You went back to Photoshop to fix it.
Yeah.
I'd open it up in Premiere and just slowed it down.
the more I compress it, the more it's going to get screwed up in Instagram. So the idea was I was hoping I was going to be able to post it today on Instagram to lure more of you in. But I didn't get the chance to do it because it was too slow exporting this afternoon to do that.
Got it.
But
I like the way it came out.
So I actually have to maybe airdrop myself something. While we're just sitting here really quickly. But what we're going to do, so you guys have something to look at while I'm just quickly getting ready.
So Tom's asking, isn't it way easier to animate in After Effects?
For sure, but this is a Photoshop thing.
Good point. I like that.
If you go, yesterday I showed on YouTube, I have one video on YouTube. Thank you to the people who had my back and subscribed, even though I've only done one thing ever.
Yes, Nate,
my thanks for nothing. This is done. This is done in After Effects, and it's using video instead of stills. So it goes back and forth. It depends. It depends on what files I'm working with. I like to figure out things in programs. It's like a puzzle to me. So sometimes if I figure something out well enough in Photoshop, I'll be like, can I do it in After Effects?
Yes.
And then I'll challenge myself in After Effects to play around with the same elements in there, and it usually the conversion's really easy. Sometimes things are labeled a little bit differently in After Effects, but they're very similar UIs, so it's like easy for me to figure out. But yeah, no, I go back and forth. But sometimes,
it's funny because back in the day,
make
before Photoshop had video capabilities, we used to always say and tell each other and tell people that After Effects was like Photoshop with motion. And then Photoshop got motion, so it's still like Photoshop with motion because you got a lot of the same controls. You're right, some things aren't called the same things. Yeah. And of course, it can do a lot more.
Photoshop's also my strong suit, so it's a lot easier for me to make things move in Photoshop because I can get really into my manipulation work without having to overthink it.
So yeah, you do things where you're comfortable.
So my name on everything is Witchoria, which I think is here in this. I've highlighted. But it's also
over
at Witchoria down there.
It's over there.
I that's the gamut. It's Instagram, Facebook, Behance, everything. It's nice and Googleable. So what I think the first thing we might do today, just because I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I just thought it'd be kind of fun to do this, is I've done this.
Wait, you stayed up for 4 hours last night?
I woke up this morning at 4 o'clock in the morning to get ready and go shooting.
But I thought you said you worked on Photoshop after dinner.
No, I woke up. It was 4 hours before dinner.
Oh, okay.
I went home and was
all right. I was going to say. So that means basically you got like 30 minutes of sleep.
How to make the third image. I'm not sure which image you're referring to. But because I'm kind of like a little bit sleepy, I thought it'd be fun to do the coffee cup manipulation series because that was my little daily exercise to wake my brain up, like wake my creativity up. It's not anything super advanced, so I think today's a good day for beginners. I'm going to do some stuff on my iPad Pro, where I don't know where I put it, but it's around here somewhere.
We'll find it.
And I'm also going to do it in Photoshop, playing with blending modes, stuff like that. But today,
Is there an iPad Pro sitting right there behind you?
If I just give myself these couple, this is my favorites. I had Swopes do me a favor and shoot some coffee cup. Yes. Shoot some coffee cup images for me, which I'm just gonna send myself really quickly. I don't know how many I can send myself at once. Wait, I don't need these ones. Anyways, so the idea is, I don't know if you guys are drinking coffee right now, but it'd be a good time to get your coffee cup ready, because we're gonna do a coffee cup manipulation. Got a couple different photos. Oh, it's weird. I forgot that the photos are live. I like how it's going to go to everyone else's MacBook Pro but mine. I'm going to email it to myself.
That is usually the case, especially the more people that are watching.
Yeah, I mean, but I'll keep answering questions, so you know. All right. Bye, Science Maniac. All right. Well, do you have any questions while I'm sending myself this file? I can scroll through these also. So they're just fun little exercises. I downloaded some public domain stock images for this. I have my drone here. I haven't had the chance to fly it around San Francisco yet. I'm going to probably do that after this stream and try to get some neat shots. But so hopefully I'll have some actual images to use
Do you
tomorrow.
shoot mostly stills or videos with your drone?
A little bit of both. I mean, because I'm used to such a huge megapixel camera, I usually just shoot video with the drone, because I still think the photos aren't big enough because I only have a Phantom 4. I don't have like the huge rig. I'm not like a pro drone driver.
It's okay.
I got the Phantom 4 because it's pretty much idiot proof, so I can't like ruin anything. And then I guess, can we not have my screen up for 1 second while I log into my email?
Sure.
Thank you.
There you go. It's gone.
Just in case, you know, you never know. There could be some. Okay, so I still haven't gotten it yet, but
Nate, I think she said she has a Phantom 4. Hello,
yes,
Brent.
I do. Sorry it's taking a second to. The inspiration for the coffee cup project, I was just sitting there with my coffee one day, and I really don't know why I did it, but I took a picture from above, and I just thought it would be fun to start adding stuff that, these sort of microcosms. So it started with putting like a galaxy in there, and then it kind of evolved. For some reason I did galaxies and oceans, and I didn't realize until a little bit afterwards that I think the reason I did that was because they're both kind of vast and unknown. Yeah. And I'm really attracted to both. It's in oceans and space are in a lot of my work if you go through my feed.
And which one do you do the most?
I guess pretty even.
50-50. Okay.
I like to joke that when I do ocean stuff, it's because I'm sad and I call it sea-pression. Yeah.
You have the names and the puns.
Well, this is not. I'm just gonna dump it this way since it's not emailing, and I don't want to waste you guys' time. So I'm gonna dump it the old-fashioned way. That would be great if that was my password. Okay, so let me quickly just dump these images off my phone.
Image capture?
Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm. Be faster.
Come here, buddy.
Click on the phone.
There is no phone.
There it is.
Oh, that's
phone?
this. Why does everything not want to work? Come on, buddy.
Well, you said it showed up when you were doing AirDrop. It showed up our devices.
Yeah, maybe we can do this. Sorry, it's taking a second.
All right,
to
hang
get
on.
this
Let's see
done.
if it'll come up on mine. All right, do you see mine?
No, I just see Corey's. So I'm texting to myself.
Well, if Corey's MacBook Pro shows up, send it to his MacBook Pro and give us a thumb drop.
There we go. Got another thing I'm doing real quick. Technology, guys.
All right.
Can't
It
win 'em all.
was.
Can't win them all.
Or you can put them in
There
Lightroom
we go.
Mobile and sync them.
Oh, that would have also been smart. Boop. Let's make sure these are okay. So let me close out all this stupid stuff now. I hate iTunes. Quit. Okay. Now we're ready.
All right.
We can come back. So what I'm going to do is, again, Swopes was nice enough to use her fantastic iPhone 7 Plus to shoot a picture of me in the Adobe lobby.
Shots.
I know, these are great. I'm also, I like to joke that I'm a hand model. So I think, the bubbles, it's easy to Photoshop that, but it's definitely going to be easier to just use this image of this coffee. So I'm going to use this one. Getting my coffee on in the really cool new atrium at Adobe. There we go. Okay, so I've got this open. I've also downloaded a whole bunch of weird stuff. Space.
Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah, I got into some oceans, and we're going to play with some blending modes. I'll do the ocean second, because that's going to be a lot of blending images together. And then I thought it'd be fun to maybe, pretend I'm going to eat one of these surfers. So I might add them to this, too.
Okay.
So what we'll start with is something a little bit easy. We will do some space imagery. So let me get rid of this timeline. So what I'm going to do first is there's a couple different ways you can do this. I could make an area, let's say, I could do something like this.
So you're making a selection first?
Well, I was thinking, actually I don't want to do that. There's a couple ways. In the beginning, the first times I did it, I sort of eyeballed making my own shape layer on top of this for a clipping mask. This is good if you're working with an empty coffee cup without coffee in it. No, I just shot these an hour ago with Swopes in the hallway down
But
the hall.
She should submit those for stock. Those would be some nice stock images.
My beautiful
You could
model
become
hands.
an Adobe stock contributor.
Oh yeah, it's just that's how iPhone names photos. I'm not sure if this means Swopes. Do you have 4,046 photos on your phone? Oh my god.
She does. 43,000 images on her phone.
Okay, so I'm just plopping in this this nice little galaxy image. One way we could do this is to just make a clipping mask. I use clipping masks all the time. And it's a really easy way to just kind of start getting into it. So that already kind of looks cool. I'm, sipping in my own little morning microcosm.
I like that.
But you can also play.
I'd probably boost the colors a little, but that's just me.
Yeah, that one is a little flat. This one's one of my favorites. I'm really obsessed with NASA images.
That one's nice.
Most of them are public domain, so
NASA.
they're free to use. And I love NASA. I love space. I don't really want to go to space because I'm afraid, this is pretty cool. This already kind of looks like coffee too because it's got these brown tones in it. But yeah, I can already see if you zoom in, the only reason the clipping mask, it's a little unnatural because there's these little idiosyncrasies usually with the coffee where you see these little bubbles and we've got this nice little shine here. So a lot of times I want to keep that. But I know there's a way I could also probably just make this lighten and then boom. So if I take, if I take the vector object, the ellipse that I've made, and I add a blending mode to it, in this case, lighten.
So you got the cup, the shape layer,
Here, I'll
and
turn
the
it all
photo.
off. So first, we've got this photo. Shot it 20 minutes ago with Swopes.
Swopes, you're getting kudos on your shot, by the way.
And she just texted it to me so I could work on it for this edit, and I thought, this would be a fun edit to do.
Right.
And so the next thing I did was I added in, and again, I love using, is this just called the shape tool? Yeah. I added in an ellipse. I eyeballed it a little bit. It's not a perfect circle. There's usually, depending on the angle and the type of coffee cup and where you're at, you have to play with it a little bit, but generally it sort of is that shape. And what I also did was, it's black also, because when I click lighten, what lighten does is it gets rid of pretty much all the dark areas in any photo. Pretty much any black pixels disappear and all the lighter pixels emerge. And that's nice for images like this because there's a darkness already in the space image. So some of that's coming through. I can see some areas right here where the lighten's not working. We'll probably have to rotate. But it's letting some of that actual coffee, the reflection from it come through, which kind of gives it that liquid, real feel.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Oops, that's not what I want to do. And again, these are just stock. I just took some stock photos of space. What I'm going to want to do here, the reason I'm adjusting this is I want the lighter area on the opposite side so that it's not affecting this, this reflection area. So that's kind of fun too. I really love this space. It'll be fun to see how we do this with, because I haven't done an ocean one in a while. But you can also mix.
Oh, actually could have some waves going through there, a little surfer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Surfing in your coffee cup.
Yeah. I mean, you can also like double down. So sometimes you'll have things.
That would probably be a cool one too.
Yeah. Where maybe you just want some of the subtlety of this one, but you might want to add in another one. I almost wonder, this kind of looks like milk. Weird blue. You know how when you add dye to water, it has this weird effect.
Food color.
I love clipping masks. Again, this is just like, you're just masking away. And here, you can start playing with blending modes. I usually lighten and screen are pretty great for this. And you can start blending some of these space images together and just like completely start making up your own galaxies and universes. Because there are no rules when you're making your own art.
I like it.
Yeah, this is cool, but you know what? I think I'd like it a little better if it was like a purple. So what I'm gonna do here, I really don't like to mess with the pixels too much. So what I'm gonna do is I don't know if I wanna do selective color or just hue saturation. Selective color is kind of fun.
Selective color, or you could do a color lookup.
We'll do blues. This is going to affect this. So you can see this is a... Selective color is really fun. I use it from time to time. I used it heavily in this Instagram.
Yes, Ryan, the low-fat Milky Way.
Yeah.
2%.
Where is it? So I made a piece when Bowie died because I was pretty upset about it. And I got into playing with, this heavily uses playing with those color modes and selective color, where I remove the background. The background is a gradient that I made myself, but everything else with these mountains, the way the tones work, it was all toying around in selective color. You can do a lot of really fantastic, weird stuff to make these ordinary looking. I mean, this is still a fantastic
Now,
photo.
Was the circle there, is that a shape?
That's a mask.
That's
I'm telling you,
okay.
I'm all
You're
about,
all about
the
masks.
masks.
Yes.
We can get into the geometric reflections in a little bit. We can just kind of have a fun masking day.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, there's a lot you can do with masks. There's a lot you can do with color. You can completely transform a regular sort of mundane landscape and completely turn it into this like spacey, out of this world alien universe.
Out of this world, alien space. I see it all coming together now.
I
Now,
watched so much Bob Ross recently.
Corey, he'd probably add a starship in the middle of that coffee. I could just see Corey adding that.
I mean, Corey and I were talking about maybe collaborating a little bit tomorrow. So you guys are probably in for a treat. So back to this. For some reason, I thought about making the blues maybe a little more like purple. Ooh, this teal's kind of interesting too. So I'm always just like kind of screwing around with these levels. That'll make it a little bit more purple.
Now, do you ever approach those sliders and say, I know exactly which direction to go in, and they will make exactly what I want?
Weirdly enough, though, there's the one, I saw this joke on, it was a joke about in Illustrator, the cutout modes. I always forget. Pathfinder?
Yes.
And I know what all those things do because I make iconography and stuff now. But there was a one where it just says, I'm feeling lucky, like Google used to have. Because most people just keep clicking because they don't know, like, what each of those things actually does.
Correct.
That's like me with like I'm feeling lucky with these sliders. But I'm like most of what I do is I'm feeling things out. So I'm a very what's the word for it? Intuitive.
Adventurous.
I'm an intuitive designer. So there's not always a plan going in. I'm kind of just winging it. I'm a big fan of winging it. I think you learn a lot. You make a lot of mistakes, but mistakes are important. So I don't know if that's
well. If you're not making mistakes, you aren't learning.
There we go. So cyan is the color I'm messing with here. Ooh, I actually kind of like it this like.
Yeah, you're getting your purple.
Yeah, it's just like toning it down. See, the funny thing is I don't like colors that are too like crazy. Ooh, I might want to play with this with a human being later too. Anyways,
That
so
sounds
here,
scary.
you know, I'm just drinking all this space, and we'll do one more just in case someone just joined. You know, let's see, what was the first one we did? Let's turn. Oh wait, the other thing I like to do is because I'm actually screwing with a whole image right now. Luckily, there's no other cyan pretty much in this, other than maybe a little bit in my dress. I'm actually just also going to put a clipping mask on that. That's only going to affect this layer that's being clipped into the circle. So now the background's not being affected. Mm-hmm. You can get away with that a lot. I use it all the time to make sure that I'm not affecting the other layers, only one layer, but I'm also not screwing with the pixels. So instead of going up to image, and even though some of these things, sometimes when you do these things, they turn into smart objects now.
Depends.
I can't tell you which ones do that automatically, but I would say anytime you can, use these little bad boys down here. The adjustment, is this the adjustment panel?
Adjustment layers.
Yeah, the adjustment layers are pretty amazing. I use them for pretty much everything because I make tons of mistakes and I always need to go back.
All right, in the chat, here's a trivia question for you. What version of Photoshop were adjustment? You're not going to win anything, by the way. But what version of Photoshop were adjustment layers added?
I wonder if I can just like add a little pixabay spaceship.
Before. Mm-hmm.
Just gonna see if I could just like add a spaceship in while you guys were doing it. Did they figure it out?
There's a delay. It'll take them a second.
Yeah, these spaceships suck. Kind of digging this.
Someone's Googling it, I'm sure.
Nice. All right. So, while you guys are doing that, for those of you, hello, who just tuned in, we're doing some coffee cup manipulations.
Jim, you are incorrect. Nate, you are correct.
Oh, nice.
Lindsay, you are correct. It was Photoshop 4.
Everybody else is a copycat.
Yes. Okay, so we got the answer. So, nope, not CS4, Photoshop 4. So, nope, not 3, because here's the way it worked. Layers were introduced in Photoshop 3. Adjustment layers were introduced in Photoshop 4. So, back in the day.
Just gonna add like one more in, just, you know, for the hell of it.
So, yes, there was a time before layers.
That's too much. See, too many cooks. This happens all the time. Sometimes you can overdo it with the amount of space things are trying to merge together. This looks horrible. It's too much. Goodbye. You're not allowed to be a part of this. Sweet. So, that was one way to do this type of work. I'm gonna save it because I kind of like it.
All right, well, Lindsay's got a bonus question. That's a good question. What year did Photoshop 4 come out?
Tight.
I don't remember the exact year. I just know it was in the 90s.
I don't know if you guys have seen that YouTube video where Photoshop experts who are like my age try to use the first Photoshop, and it has no layers and no undo button.
The first Photoshop had nothing. No layers.
It's really funny. I recommend Googling it. It's a really great video.
Only in black and white. It could only open TIFFs because
really?
JPEG wasn't a format yet.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that was doing people some favors because now people are over JPEGing it up.
Yeah, I knew it was the 90s. Okay, so Corey says it was 1996.
Sweet.
Although Cinemark or Manic is saying 1997.
I am digging this. So what I did is I just saved this for now. I think I'm just going to group this because I'm actually just going to work in the same file. Maybe to add some ocean stuff. So what I'm going to do here, probably going to do the same thing. I'll work with some sort of, I really like working in these little circles. This is a little bit more of an oval.
I used to have,
Boop, boop.
let's see if I still have it. I used to have a runtime of Photoshop 1.0.
This is going to get a little funny. I'm already letting you guys know that I know I'm going to have to screw with this vector circle.
Well, screw with it.
Not yet. But when we add the ocean in,
That's why you're here.
I've been called out. Some people think that this was a mistake, but it's very much so on purpose. If I go back to the Behance really quickly to show you guys my favorite one, you'll notice, I don't know if I can zoom in, that the edges are uneven here, which is, it's done on purpose because when you have swells of waves and the way water works in an actual setting, like a pool where things are splashing back and forth,
so you did do the work.
It's not going to be a perfect circle because that's not how liquid works. Unless it's, you know, coffee just sitting there. But if it was an active body of water with a wave like this, there's going to be a swell. So I do kind of mess with the edges a little bit so it doesn't end up being a perfect circle. So what I have made here, we're going to have to add a little to later down the road to kind of get that effect. And I've downloaded 1996. Wow, that is pretty old. I got a whole bunch of ocean shots. Some I think I've probably used in the past, but for this exercise, we're gonna play around. Again, these are stock photos. I just downloaded them. I'm gonna try to get some drone shots tonight and tomorrow to maybe see if we can do one of these, maybe with video.
I like that one.
This one?
No, that one. That's kind of cool.
So again, we're gonna just drag this in.
I didn't mean necessarily.
Well, I know, but
for
let's
this.
just start jamming off and seeing what we can make. See, that already looks a little funky. So there's a couple different things.
Kind of cool. I like the one you had in there first, though. That was the best.
I can already see the edges, so I definitely need to mess with my circle a little more. So I'm gonna do that right now.
Yes, Photoshop 1.0 on the Mac was a single file that fit on a 400K floppy.
Whoa.
Floppy. 400K.
Jesus. My sister doesn't even know. The funny thing is we were talking about at work how crazy it is that most kids have never held a floppy disk, but they only know it as the save icon. So it's immortalized. This obsolete technology is immortalized in our
and why is it still the same
but
icon?
It's even like not a lot of people use like folders the way they classically did, the way some of these things are being preserved in digital and you don't even realize. It's an interesting.
That is funny.
I'm also a UX UI designer, so I get into we can. I think tomorrow I'm gonna try to get some drone shots this afternoon or tomorrow morning, and then maybe try to make this move, maybe as a GIF in Photoshop, but we can also probably tinker with it a little bit in After Effects, depending on, the vibe of everybody tomorrow. So let me just adjust this a little bit.
I have a video on my YouTube channel of demoing Photoshop 1.0 for those of you who want to go back and look at that.
The other thing for the ocean I usually like to do is I like to have the background sort of similar to the color of the ocean in the photo that I am using, which I actually should sample. I don't know which part I'm going to want it of. I'm actually going to release the clipping mask for a second just so I can have this out. This will just help because we are going to we're going to let some of this shit show through a little bit. Because the other thing I'd like to think it's a little bit more shallow right near the edges of the coffee cup, so there's going to be a little bit of translucence if the water's splashing up a bit.
Are you thinking...
So it has more depth in the center. It's sort of...
Are you thinking like a radial gradient mask?
Sort of, but I'm going to just paint it.
Okay.
But you could definitely do that. That's another technique. There's a million ways to do these things.
Always.
So I'm starting to do this. Later down the road, there's a couple different ways. We're going to definitely have to add some shadow in here. In the space images, it doesn't matter because you're working with something so dark. It's pretty much the coffee itself is the base for that layer. But here, we're going to need to make this part of the ocean, whichever ocean we decide to go with, darker to match the shadow of the cup to just pull off the effect a little bit better. So this is okay. I'm noticing that I actually don't know, the way this image was already processed, which I can probably try to mess with it a little bit, it doesn't exactly match the lighting that I have in my actual photo, so I might not use this one, but I'm gonna keep it in the running for now.
I wonder if you rotated it 90 degrees, would that make the difference?
I'm gonna brighten her up a little. It could. Create a clipping mask. That helps a little bit. Yeah, rotate. I mean, there's a lot. Oh, I could also put the darker area over there.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. That's a sneaky way to do this.
I always look for the sneaky ways to do it in Photoshop.
Sneaky. Northern Lights would be really cool too. The only thing that I've noticed when I'm doing this that doesn't just have a really great effect, because we're kind of screwing with the idea of liquid, and space isn't liquid, but when you think about how even in space movies spaceships work, it has a very like boat-like feel, if that makes sense. But if you try to put actual aerial landscapes of like grass and stuff,
space ships,
yeah. But even, when you go through hyperdrive, then it's like, boo. Yeah. It's sort of like when you're jet skiing and you fall and you skid across the water and then the water just swallows you.
I've never fallen off a jet ski, but okay, I can see that.
But there's this really weird thing where when you're going really fast on water, you skid across it, and then it just envelops you, and that's the same way things in Star Trek and stuff work, where it's like blue when it finally slows down.
Correct.
I like to use weird sound effects to describe things.
Sound effects are always necessary and help.
So this is cool. So we'll play with this one a little bit, and then maybe we'll jam out on one of these. Actually, maybe we can add one of these guys in now. We can jam out on one of these with waves. I like waves a lot because it gives freedom to mess with the edges of the Photoshop quite a bit.
All right, take a break for 2 seconds.
Oh.
So there's a lot of talk in the chat about Photoshop 1.0, nostalgia, dates, floppy disks, so forth and so on. So here's a 1 minute look back. Here we go. This is a Mac, black and white, or actually color, running, but Photoshop was black and white back in the day, running on my MacBook Pro. Here is Photoshop 1.0. Boot time was actually pretty decent. And that's it. That's all you had. No panels, no layers, no libraries, nothing. This was it. If you wanted to work on something, file. Oh, and by the way, in the OS back then, just clicking file wouldn't hold it down. You'd actually have to drag and hold it down. So you want to find something. I'll go out to the desktop. I'll find this one. And so I got Statue of Liberty image here. And that was it. So this is what you had under each menu. And that's all you had. No plugins, no additional features that you could add. This was Photoshop 1.0. So for those of you who take for granted what you're using now, and by the way, what Swopes was showing earlier on her phone does 10 times more than what we had back in the day. And this is what we had to live with. One undo, no editable text, no vectors, no layers. If you put something down on the canvas, hope you got it right, because there's no undoing it. It's locked in place. All right, so.
That was nice. That was a good little segue so I could let people on Instagram know I'm streaming right now.
There you go. Back to you.
All right, so we're playing with this one image. I'm also just going to plop in some others to see if, I think some of the darker, because we've got yellow and blue are really, they kind of vibrate off of each other, so I think it's going to have a really neat effect. I really love these ones with the waves, but I might try that later.
That's a nice one.
I always love this one. I wonder if we could blend these two together. Whoa.
Oh.
Hello.
Multiple objects selected.
There we go. Is that other one not? Oh, I accidentally broke my clipping mask. No, this one looks pretty good too. I really love waves. The ocean actually terrifies me though. I don't really like to go in it, but I like to look at it from a distance. I've seen Jaws too many times.
Yes, sharks. Yeah, you can they'll throw a shark through there. Sharknado.
Sharknado. Oh, this is kind of cool. I wonder if I need to download some brushes for this. So, like, a lot of this is just eyeballing it. I resize things. I move them around. With resizing, as most of you know, sizing up is going to screw the pixels, but anything sizing down is fine.
Unless
even if this places right now as a smart object, if you size it up,
you are still
This is not a vector.
Adding resolution to it.
So this is kind of fun. I like this. I'm wondering. Oh, whoa! I moved this bad boy over. Oh, I resized them both at the same time. All right. Well, we're just gonna work with this other one then. So what I'm gonna do here. This is kind of a silly way to do this, but I want to just have this really quickly to sample these. Oh, I keep doing that. The easiest way to do this. Drag her on top. I don't need these curves anymore.
So you're compositing two of those together?
No, I'm keeping this as a color reference.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to just delete this layer out of the way, but right now, for the sake of making our lives easier in the future, I mean, it'd be almost cool to sort of make the whole circle like this with a slight texture, but for right now, because we're just kind of, waking our creative brains up, I'm going to match.
You just reminded me of a feature. I want to see if this works.
Yeah, that's nice.
Let me quit Photoshop 1.0 first. Don't want to use up too much RAM. All right.
And then what's going to happen is...
Okay, let's try this. Select, filter. Is it under filter? I can't remember where this is.
I lose myself all the time.
Oh, no, it's an extension. That's right.
Let's see.
Extensions. There we go.
I don't know if I want to really have to worry about the flow of this. Ooh, okay.
And let's see if this works.
So what I'm doing here, I'm adding in the idea of that shadow area we were talking about earlier, but because I've made this the darkest part of the ocean, I've sampled a color from the ocean we're working with, I'm really, really lightly, with a super soft brush and a super low flow, taking out some of these, I'm erasing out some of the actual ocean image, so we're actually erasing into this vector background in my ellipse. But because it's the same color as the ocean, it's just kind of adding that shadow effect over here so that it matches the way the coffee was shot originally. Just make sure, am I losing? This was a little off. I'll have to be a perfectionist in a little bit.
So is that the shape or the original layer?
Well, there's a couple ways. I'm going to show two ways to do this, because when we start to get really funky, we might not want it trapped in an ellipse.
Okay.
But right now, I mean, just to show the basics of how I kind of get this effect in the first place. What I'm noticing now, though, is, everything's fine and dandy. I'm going to just add a little, I like to have this little kind of vignette. So that's not looking too bad. But I am noticing, besides the fact that, this is awfully circular for a moving body of water with a wave crashing this big, there's this chunk of the wave that is splashing that I think we should try to mimic. And I don't know if I have the right brushes. Kyle would be a great guy to have on hand right now.
This is true. Do you want to mimic it onto the other side?
But there's we've got some default brushes, unless these are, I'm pretty sure these are default. If not, I've downloaded them in the past and completely forgotten where I got them from. Do you make ocean waves in this project? Well, the ocean made its own waves, and I'm just using them in this coffee cup. Ooh, dolphins would be fun. I'm kind of thinking about adding in, especially if we go back to that flatter one, these dudes. So we're kind of like, maybe going to eat them.
Cannibal.
Just kidding. But here, I've got this weird little brush. I haven't really played with it before. I'm actually going to need to paint into this ellipse now. Meaning I'm going to have to rasterize it, but that's okay, because I'm not that worried about it right now. And what I'm going to do, because, it's pretty easy to recreate an ellipse if I completely screw this up. Go back into my brush. I'm going to take this weird, maybe not that one, maybe this one. It kind of already looks splish splashy like this wave, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to crank my flow a little bit. Oh, and you can't actually adjust the hardness.
Oh, you know what that's reminding me of?
What?
Like a spin blur.
What's spin blur?
You haven't tried spin blur?
Oh, yeah. Hook it up right now.
No.
Oh.
Go to your, that's the one with the waves, right?
This one?
Yeah, I mean, the layer you have selected is the waves, right?
Well, I was going to just start coloring in the actual ellipse, but I could...
yeah, select the waves for a second.
The waves or the mask part of the waves?
The waves.
Okay.
Filter menu. Blur gallery.
I'm so excited.
Spin blur.
Ooh, whoa! That's what I imagined that. Whoa!
Now,
that
of course,
is kind of fun.
You can tone that down.
Or I could tone it
or
up.
Tone it up.
Just kidding.
There you go.
Oh, neat. Yeah, I can definitely do some weird stuff. Is this how they've been doing those memes on the internet where it's Krusty the Krab and he's like, oh, and like it's swirling around him? I know you guys know what I'm talking about.
It could be. Spin blur. Give it a shot.
No, I can't mask it. I'm adding pixels to the ellipse. Or can I paint pixels that don't exist into a mask?
Can you paint? Yes.
So I had rasterized this because I need to do something like this where I'm actually painting in. I'm adding pixels to what was a vector shape layer. So you're telling me I could have done that without screwing with the pixels? I could have not rasterized this and painted in, like I'm adding to the ellipse layer. I'm building on the original shape.
Yeah.
And I could have done that without rasterizing it?
Well, without rasterizing it, was it a smart object?
Yes.
So
But then to add this paintbrush.
You'd have to edit the smart object to do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Next time. But you know what? We're just having fun today, so I'm not that worried about it. This is also just a little creative exercise. I'm not blowing it up the size of a billboard, so I'm not worried about a gigantic. If it was a complex shape, it'd be different. But if you look, and this is still a little funky, but using this fun little brush called, I don't know what it's when you do. They have tooltips. Well, I'm just gonna call it spray paint or something. I've added in the rest of the wave in a similar means to how it looks throughout the picture. Almost this like painted.
And did you just look up and find that brush, or you knew which one you wanted?
Well, I've used this
before. Okay.
this ocean. I've been here before where I played with a lot of brushes. I think this is one of the default brushes, one of like the kind of spray brushes, but I definitely recommend Googling, downloading brush packs, getting into it. Kyle Webster's a fantastic brush maker. If he was here, he'd probably be like, I have a way better brush than that, Victoria. Just get out of the way. And then he'd shove me out of my seat and make a better Photoshop than I did.
I don't think he'd shove you out of your
I'm just kidding.
He would just say,
he's really nice.
Go to this link and download it.
Anyways, so that we just did this. That's fun. I don't know if it makes sense to put the surfers.
Yes, Manuel, there's 100 or more ways to do everything.
Yeah. I mean, I could get
the layer, add a new layer, paint onto the new layer, mask.
But I kind of liked where we were going previously, because I'd like to maybe add in, but I don't think these guys are going to fit because they don't blend with this particular image. But you know what? Who cares? There are no rules. Boop. All right. Whoop, I just hit delete because I clicked the wrong button. So we're just gonna just do something for fun right now.
I'm interested to see how you're gonna cut those out.
I am too.
Or blend them in.
There's a couple different ways.
Well,
you know what I like to do?
It's Photoshop. There's always a couple of different ways.
I'm not actually gonna use a patch tool, but I just like to use it I'm gonna go with this guy because I like his little red shorts. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna click mask so that I don't even have to worry that much about it right now.
Okay.
I'm gonna scoot him over here. He's about to just get wrecked by this wave. He should have swam away. So usually, I mean, I like sometimes just manually cutting things out. Usually these brushes are kind of a little bit janky, especially because these color tones are all kind of similar. But woo, not that brush.
Not that brush.
You could definitely use those automatic tools. One little tip, it's not going to work that well in this image. I don't know. Would you say quick select would be better for this, or if Magic Wand's going crazy, quick select would too.
No. Quick select on that. Make sure you're on that layer.
But then what you can do, so when you do quick select like this, and if you delete out all this stuff, you're gonna notice that it's like super janky edged, like.
Yeah, I'd use
so
select and mask or refine edge.
Yeah. So I always refine the edges. It's a really great way to like quickly cheat through this, especially if something's really small or you're just doing a quick comp. A lot of these things are sketches, and then I'll go back through and I'll actually go in with my tablet or just like zoomed in with my finger and just clean everything up, because no matter what, I found that when you're actually, because we're human beings, the computer's really great and it does a good job detecting as much as it can, but when you go and you redo like one pass just with your hands and your eyes,
right,
it's so much better.
Yeah. By the way, if you ever want to know the quickest way to find like the pixels you missed when you're cutting something out, you want to know the quickest way?
What?
Post it on social media.
Oh, yeah. I've learned that the hard way.
The minute you post it, you'll see all kinds of stuff you didn't see while you were in Photoshop.
Yeah, I've learned to be very careful before I post things, because I get called out pretty quickly now.
You want to find out what you missed, post it on social media.
So I actually just want to cut them out, because, I'm enjoying myself right now. This is my morning exercise to wake up my brain, and sometimes just doing these kind of, not menial, but these little tasks kind of put me in the
So you're going with the
zone.
Going with the manual approach.
Yeah, I like it.
All right.
I mean, I could have probably cut it in a little more, but I just want to see, even with this little bit of testing. And while we're doing this, I mean, this is pretty brainless. If you guys have any questions.
Now keep in mind, she's also doing that on a layer mask, so she's not really erasing those pixels.
No. Just kidding. Rasterize. So this little guy.
You got steady hands on that trackpad.
That's what I'm saying.
Impressed.
Like, I'm good with the trackpad.
She's doing this on a trackpad. I would never attempt this on a trackpad.
But again, I have really shaky hands, and for some reason, I can stabilize this way. But holding a pencil, it's I'm really weird.
I'm impressed.
All right, so I'm just like, we're having fun. We're having a good time. Woo. Yeah, and it's not perfect, but I haven't even seen if he even looks
small.
Good. I haven't even seen if he.
By the time you zoom out, it's going to be hard if anyone ever see any pixels.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know.
Some people are.
Somebody's going to download it and zoom in on it and say, "You missed this pixel." And
I must wonder if we could make it look like he's kind of dipped in the water.
Grid 800 by 400.
Like kind of under the water a little, like he's leaned back. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much of his legs you'd see, though. We'll keep him out for now. No.
Are you going to make him any bigger?
No, so there's a couple things I'm noticing about this photo. And I know there's some tweaks we can do, but he is being blasted with sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
And this photo of the wave is also, he is way smaller than this wave. Right. He might die.
That's why I said, are you going to make him any bigger?
No, I can't make. I don't think I shrunk him down. This is the size of the photo.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Are you gonna?
No, because I don't.
No.
I don't really want him. I mean, maybe he'd do better over here. Looking backwards. Ooh, now I can see all those things I missed. I just don't think this guy's gonna work. I don't think he matches the light of the photo. I also really that does not work at all. I don't use people in my photos that often. I get really weird about buildings and people. I'm very nature oriented. I've got like little things with my hands and things. But yeah.
What about, you said you don't use people or?
Well, I use people like sometimes with levitations, but which we'll get into tomorrow. But I mean, if we look through, it's mostly, I'm really into just me and Mother Nature getting down.
What about animals?
No.
Like someone was saying earlier with the dolphins.
Oh, no. For some, I guess
No.
I've used birds sometimes in the past. Let's see when the last time ooh, sorry guys. Inappropriate. Let's see. Oh, I guess I had a little, this is like really the only time I use people is for these exploding levitations, which we'll get into tomorrow. And we'll do some a little bit. I've got the iPad set up, so I'm gonna do the same sort of demo that I did at Adobe Max, where we're using the same, chop. Where we're doing the same idea that we just did with the coffee cups, but we're using blending modes and playing with portraits and making I call it the Space Babe series. So maybe we can get into that now. This is fun. We might go back to it later. I kind of like the idea now because I made something move yesterday where it'd be fun to maybe begin with this tomorrow if I have anything of the San Francisco Bay and make it move.
You know what would be cool?
What?
Is to have video of actual waves.
Yeah, in the coffee cup and make it move. And we'll make like another GIF. That could be the thing.
That would be sweet.
Yeah. So I think maybe like now I want to do that.
Yeah.
Like, see, I do these things. I'm like sketching things out, and I'm like, no, I don't want it anymore.
You do what Russell Brown does. He flies his drone up like right above the shoreline and points the camera straight down, so the waves are coming in from
and it'll just
top
sit
down
hovering.
look. Right.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty fun.
That would be awesome.
So I guess we're gonna have to go on an adventure. I think the waves crash pretty hard near the.
Well, they don't even need to crash. They just need to.
We went to a spot there.
Go across.
Plus, I'm just like, I'm not really sure where I'm allowed to fly the drone, but I'm just going to do it anyways. So, I think what we're going to do right now is let me open this bad boy up. Let me just get her...
get her done.
Get her in fix. Oh, yeah, I've got a couple different things. Oh, there's another really funny thing. I don't know if we're going to have time to do this today. I actually haven't looked at the photos yet. But I had this really funny thing earlier where I'll let you guys see a tiny preview.
Lindsay, well, yes, you could do it in After Effects, but this is a Photoshop stream.
We're going to make some GIFs. There'll be, even though a lot of my friends hate this term, cinemagraphs.
Yeah.
Seamless looping GIFs that utilize...
Why do people hate that term?
I have no idea. People hate GIF. I don't know.
I don't hate that term.
I have friends who are just kind of snobby.
Really?
Who would have thought?
You need new friends.
Oh, wait, this is from yesterday. So I did this really funny thing. So first, I haven't looked at any of these, so apologies if there's, they're horrible. I woke up bright and early to catch the sunrise, so I got some cool shots. I'm thinking about making one of my folding landscapes with these, so I just kind of like played around. I was shooting photos, having a good time. My Uber driver stayed with me. But then I had this idea before I scroll. I was sitting and I was like, what am I going to do today? And I had the idea for the coffee cups and a couple of like maybe the Space Babes. And I was like, what else could I do? And this is what I mean about like trial and error with photography. Okay. I thought maybe it'd be funny because I've got kind of like, not a morose branding, but I like to call it, instead of Murphy's Law, Victoria's Law, because everything that can go wrong will go wrong in my life. And that's sort of what my whole brand is.
I don't think that's totally true.
But like I embrace it, and it's kind of like who I am is like, oh, of course. And then I put it in my art. So I thought it'd be kind of funny, the idea of having like a rain cloud just like above my head soaking me.
Yeah.
And so I decided to, with all my clothes on, go in the shower and like dunk in and then run out and take self-portraits. And so there's like a million of these. The cool thing about the Sony camera is that I can actually see myself in these portraits, but I'm like soaking wet. I keep dunking myself in the shower and running out. And then the last shot, right as I was about to stop doing it, I had forgotten to lock the door, and the maid walked in and was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like soaking wet in my clothes, taking portraits of myself in my hotel room.
You need remedial shower training is what she was thinking.
Oh God, it was really funny. I was very on brand. But yeah, so I might play with that tomorrow. Get into that, the idea of that. I've always imagined maybe doing this where on a rainy day, maybe I get soaked and I do this on the subway. Mm-hmm. So I'm just next to a whole bunch of people who are dry and I'm soaking wet in like a subway train commuting, and then I Photoshop a cloud that's just raining on my head.
I gotta say, you're very creative when it comes to the ideas or the concepts.
So I got a lot of ideas going at the same time.
I like the fact that, You really wanted to see this work, so hey, jump in the shower as many times as it takes, fully clothed.
Oh, it was great.
Just
I mean, it could have been worse. I could have not had any clothes on or something, and then she would have been.
Yeah, but that would have been natural. You were in the shower.
Oh, God, it was really funny.
It's with the clothes that makes it funny.
But it's been a good day. It's been entertaining. I was going to try to do all these ones where I was jumping on the bed, but I think I'm going to save that for the levitation series we're going to do tomorrow.
Jumping on the bed and capturing a self-portrait is kind of hard.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, with the Sony, it's not so bad. So I actually can. I've got an app. The Play Memories app syncs up with my phone, so I can see myself, a live preview of myself in the shots that I'm about to shoot.
While you were in midair.
So during the streams right before mine, I was doing all this funny stuff in the background, which you'll see a little bit. Maybe I'll plug this in now. Where does this?
Okay, so we need the adapter.
So I was trying to like photograph my own arms, and you guys will see. I was using my camera taking photos of myself.
Plug that into that.
Just gonna shut this for now.
And I'll wait for you to get ready.
But it shoots right onto your phone, which is pretty nifty. There we go.
Ready?
Okay. Yeah. Can you guys see my?
We can.
Okay. So earlier, the studio, we got the nice little green screen, but there's all the stuff that I was playing with during the other streams, trying to get photos that we could play with, because I didn't do enough shooting last night. And here I am taking photos of Elise and Terry during their stream. But let me start. Let me just go to.
And which app are you in?
Right now I'm just in Photoshop Fix, so I've got all of my photos that I've been playing with today.
Adobe Photoshop Fix is a free mobile app, which Swopes showed quite a bit in the last stream the first stream this morning. It is a free Adobe mobile app for iOS and Android.
So you can see I was trying to photograph my own arms because I was going to maybe like add them to a galaxy or something over here. I also really want like a really cool photo of my tattoo of my own arms that's on my arm that if you guys are familiar with my work, I did for my Make It On Mobile campaign when I was at Outside Lands.
In case you forget what your arm looks like.
Yeah, just in case.
Just in case.
And I really want a cool photo of it,
arm,
but like because I've kind of got a thing going with Instagram, I can't just like take a photo of my tattoo. It's got to be something magical.
Something more.
Yeah. So I'm trying to find a way to figure out how to like show my tattoo off to the world in a nice, creative way. So yeah, some of these might actually be kind of cool. Or maybe I look like I have dinosaur hands. I can't really tell until I open it. So this I shot. This is just like a low-res preview that I shot on this camera, and it just automatically popped into here. So I can actually see myself. I was kind of like going all over the place trying to... You thought I was raising my hand for a question.
I know, it was hilarious. I knew what you were doing, but it was hilarious. In the back of the room while we were streaming with Swopes this morning, all of a sudden, you just see a hand like this.
And I was like dunking under.
And she was trying to take a picture, and I was like,
if you notice,
Victoria, do you have a question?
If you notice, I don't know if you guys can see, but I actually was like, I don't feel like photoshopping my head out of the way. So I actually draped, there's all this black and green fabric all over the place. And so I draped black fabric over myself, so it's just my arms, so I don't have to Photoshop as much if I do use these photos. So the idea of what we're doing today, and I'm actually going to do one, we're going to do one from scratch the way I did the demo before.
Yes, Marcia. Powell is actually got the correct answer. So Photoshop Fix, think of it as a Photoshop or Photoshop retouching tool. So things like the healing brush, clone stamp, painting, liquefy, those features in there. And Photoshop Mix for compositing. So layers, blending modes, cutting images out, superimposing one image on top of another image, having multiple layers that you can switch between.
Mix. That's funny.
Right. So
I'm actually probably going to use both right now because there's part of it where I'm going to get rid of the girl's head probably, but I'm going to show you guys what it looks like before I go back and forth between the apps. So we're playing with blending modes again, and if you missed it earlier, the first coffee cup manipulation we did, we used space images, and I used lighten and screen with galaxies onto the coffee, which is already quite dark, or a dark, like a black ellipse. so that with a lighten and a screen mode, all the dark pixels are essentially transparent,
right,
and all the lightness comes through, and that's what we're going to be playing with here. This technique you can totally do if you shoot photos on a white background or whatever background you want, but it's going to look best if it's shot on a black background, or if you mask your photo to have a darker background, because otherwise your background's going to start to get all this weird stuff in it. So what I'm going to do here is I had previously taken some pictures of my friend Erica for an Adobe. I don't know which one I'm going to do. I feel like this one could be good. So we're going to start with this image. This is of my friend. It's pretty good. And what we're going to do...
So, Lindsay
I'm
Joel,
also in,
congrats on posting your first image. If you post it with the hashtag Adobe Live, we'll all take a look at it.
I might actually... Would this be easier for you guys?
Only a little.
Or is my little screen thing covering that up now so you can't actually see?
Let me worry about that. Go ahead and keep it. Go ahead and keep it wide. Let me see if I can make it.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some. I'm going to make her into what I like to call a space babe. I've done a few of these. What I like to do in the beginning is I like to add a big, gigantic. Yeah, I'm going to resize this canvas. Okay. Actually, maybe I should have started with that, but whatever. This is just a big black area. You don't have to do this, but this is going to give me more room to make the whole image.
All right, they should be able to see it better now.
Okay, and now she's sort of floating on this gigantic. So again, I just you can also make I just made a big black square because I want a bigger artboard essentially to work off of for this. It helps me lay out the.
And once again, this is Photoshop Mix.
Yes, and I will bring Fix in for one thing for this, but what I'm going to do here is there's some blue stuff I don't need here. I could pretty easily just crop it out. I don't think I have to erase it yet. Oh wait, no, that's going to crop the whole thing. I'm going to just adjust. I'm going to do the cutout. What I really love is it used to just have the auto and the smart, but now basic is a... Oh, I guess my pen's dead. So what we're going to do here is... So this other thing is, this is a newer feature too in the update.
This might work. It might reconnect it for a minute.
Oh, nice.
A lot of times the Apple Pencil...
I think my pen might just be broken.
Just needs... Okay, we'll let it charge for a minute or two.
So I like things super soft. I'm going to make my size, I don't know, big. And this should be erasing it, yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to use my fingers. We're just going to freestyle this. So all I'm doing is getting rid of some of this... unnecessary.
You are dead.
Yeah, the unnecessary stuff around the image. I shot this on I've got this piece of black velvet. I really like having velvet as a background because it absorbs so much light. There's not much. I don't really have to adjust the curves to make it so it's a true black. If you look, it's sitting on an actual black background and you really can't see the edges. So that's just a little tip. Velvet's really expensive and it gets dirty really quickly. I have a studio cat in my studio, Garfield, and he gets orange hair everywhere. But if you can manage it and hide it from Garfield.
You have the actual Garfield.
Yes, we do, yeah. It's nice, he likes to hang out. He likes to do art with me.
Does he get smart with you?
Keep me company. No, not too. I was surprised he also, we were playing with, glitter and stuff the other day, and he didn't try to get into it, which is probably good, because that's probably not good for cats.
Probably a previous bad experience.
So this is fine for now. I just wanted to kind of get rid of those blue edges. Again, it's great if you just shoot a photo on a black background for this, because it's a cheat. You don't have to do any masking, but you could easily mask if you wanted to. I'm actually also just going to adjust this. I'm going to... what am I going to do here? I'm gonna play with the contrast.
Thanks, True Ron. That would be an interesting picture.
What?
What True Ron's asking for.
What did he say? I don't know
why. He said, I want to see the photo with Victoria plus rain cloud and Terry next to her.
That could be fun.
Really big sun above him.
So I'm just I just
I'd be dry.
Popped the contrast a little bit because it's gonna make the tones on the back of her arm a little bit harder. So when I add a galaxy with the lighten, which we'll just do right now. I've downloaded. It's pretty much the same ones we had before. For this one, this is like my favorite one ever. I can't remember. I used to remember. If Sasha's watching, I'm sorry, I forgot the name of this actual galaxy. It's a something nebula, I believe. Maybe not a Crabtree Nebula. I'm just making things up.
It's okay. We're
going to pretend it's the Crabtree Nebula.
We're not going to quiz you on it. It's okay. So you just added that as a new layer.
So now, so you just hit the plus sign. The app's really cool. I know when I was testing it 6 months ago, it didn't have as many features as it has now. It's a really fantastic app now. I can't always lug my gigantic MacBook Pro. MacBook Pros are pretty heavy and also delicate. I've already broken quite a few of them. You know, they don't like water very much, or sand, or anything, or shaky hands.
Most laptops don't like water.
So I bring this a lot with me when I'm out on location to kind of just sketch out ideas while I have them, because I have this thing where if I don't, sometimes I'm worried if I don't start putting things on paper or putting them in digital that I'm going to forget is it the Crab Nebula? That sounds better than Crabtree Nebula.
Well, or the Spilt Ketchup Nebula, as
Hello.
AOLFC says.
The Spilt Ketchup Nebula.
Hello, Egypt.
It's kind of like cotton candy.
Hello, Germany.
But anyways, so what we're going to do here is we're going to go into blend. Boop. And there's a lot of blending modes. I recommend for everyone getting into Photoshop, this is Photoshop Mix. Really play with blending modes because it's pretty integral to a lot of processes you're going to use down the road. Absolutely. Understanding how these things work. I use blending modes all the freaking time. Multiply, most people are very familiar with. But
for as many years as I've been using blending modes, I'm still having to click on each one to see if I like it.
For me, I know lighten and screen are the best ones for this.
Yeah, and I know multiply
but multiply would be, it's sort
screen.
of like the idea of like the double exposure idea for this. But what I want is I really want to make her kind of look like she's one with this galaxy. I want her to be a galaxy babe. So I don't know which one I want. I'm going to go with, because I don't see the back of the arm here, I'm going to go with lighten for right now. But the nice thing is if I'm like, you know what, I hate lighten, I can go back and blend and change it to screen or anything else I want because it saves the settings. It's not a permanent change when I close out of this. You can also change the opacity. You can really get into it with these apps. I'm surprised. I can't believe how much functionality without crashing you can get. This is an iPad Pro, which I think is a little bit of a powerhouse, but it works really well on my phone too. Just my phone. I'm the only designer/photographer I know that doesn't have the plus. So like I can't.
You have the bigger.
I can't really I'd be like, all right, guys, here we are today on my tiny little phone.
But you do have the bigger iPad Pro, so you made up for it.
I have a gigantic iPad. I feel really funny when I use it in public.
Just don't hold it up to take pictures.
One time when we were doing a Make It on Mobile event, it was me and Curvin were sitting outside sketching on it, and these two guys walked past, and it was like a neck-breaking double take where they were kind of making fun of us because we looked like the penultimate millennials. It was 6 o'clock in the morning in Central Park, and we're sketching on iPads.
Uh-huh.
We looked ridiculous, but it was fun.
I'm looking at some of the work you guys have done, and this stuff looks pretty good.
Oh, sweet. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to move this around a little bit.
All right, let's take a break for a quick second.
Oop, we're taking a break.
And let's look at some of the work that people have done.
Oh, wow.
All right, so this is work that people have tweeted and used the Adobe Live hashtag. I don't know how far down to go because some of this is like that. Oh, Swopes, somebody did a nice composite with Chicago on the moon and a globe. That looks pretty cool. All right, I didn't go all the way down, but because I don't know how old some of these are, but good job looking at some of the 3D compositing in tribute to Corey's stream.
Yeah, I got some really cool messages. I'll get permission. I don't want to blow up anyone's spot, but I got some really cool messages of people doing the day to night technique that I showed yesterday.
Coffee in space.
Oh, nice.
Coffee space.
Coffee cups are just so fun to do. It's a really easy technique, but it's a really great way to kind of just wake your brain up for the day. Just force yourself to be a little creative every morning.
I like the colors on these. Very nice. Manuel. Very nice.
Oh, wait, there's that. That's one of the ones that was DM'd to me last night. Click this one. This is really good, yeah.
All right. Where to start?
Check that out. They even did some water reflections.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Very good.
What's
Who's
up?
that? Tanner?
Are you in here?
2 new results.
I hit you with a follow back because I liked it so much.
right. Manuel is like on it.
And if anyone missed, yesterday I did a day to night technique. It's available. You can rewatch it. The stream's available.
Yeah.
If you look, I think there's another tab in whatever you're looking at right now.
All right, back to you.
Okay. So, I'm taking my glasses off because I can't see anything because they're so dirty.
One more second. Let's see if this has got enough juice now.
Why does my thing hate me?
I think it needs to be paired, or not paired, but just connected again. So.
Should we just like in here?
Yeah. So hang on. I need to take that out.
I got it.
You got it. Okay.
Anyways.
Just like for a second.
Technology is just like a big hater. Turn on. Oh, that's.
Well, yeah. If you don't have Bluetooth on, it won't work that way.
Oh, I'm on airplane mode. Does that matter?
Yeah, you can still turn on Bluetooth. No. Go.
I think
go
it is on. It's got now. Boop. I'll retoggle it.
Okay. So let's try it out.
Is the pencil charging? Oh, wouldn't it be in here?
Yeah.
Oh,
there you go.
There we go.
You're good to go.
We're back on track.
All right.
Let me just really quickly, so I can actually see what you guys are doing.
Now we don't have video. You did plug it back in. Let's try it again.
Did I accidentally unplug the HDMI
I
element?
don't think so.
99 problems.
Nope. Let's try it now.
All right. I wish I was a talented singer like Swopes, but I have no karaoke capabilities.
Okay.
I've got a great non-regional dialect, though, so I feel like I was meant to do some news broadcasting. Sorry, guys, we're just having some technical difficulties.
I should have never disconnected the video.
No!
No.
It could have just been. Oh.
No. There we go.
There we go.
Yay.
And
We're back.
Pollyanna will be very excited. I still have my Make It on Mobile background. Woo!
Woo.
Okay, so we're gonna go back and mix. And again, I can just like hide this for a second, right? Boop. I started with a black background. I added in an image of my friend I shot. She's on a black background in the image. Just because it's like an easy cheat for this technique. And what we're gonna do now is, even though I have the pen working, I still like to use my fingers for this part. And I'm trying to find a part of the image to kind of make it look like maybe, and I guess you can't really see what I'm pointing to. Is there a way to make it so that the hotspot turns on?
You can, you have to go out from this image and then go to that menu in the upper left.
This one?
Yep.
Oh, we're learning things.
And preferences.
Ooh, my hands are shaky.
And show touches.
Show.
All right, you can go down.
I'm showing my oh, you can see it.
How about that?
Boop. Okay. So we're back in here, but what I'm trying to show right here is there's this line. If I just touch it a whole bunch of times, because I probably can't draw a line, that kind of resembles her arm. Again, is if I move this layer out of the way, her arm's going back like that, and this line is very similar right here to that. So I'm gonna match those up because it's gonna kind of have that. It has that motion that she's already positioned in. Usually when I do this, I go through tons of different galaxies. Again, it's really intuitive. You just got to move things around, flip it, use lots of different images, different blending modes, and you'll find the right mixture for what you're trying to do.
Very cool.
So I'm pretty happy with this.
So when you're like not on a stream like this and you're playing with an image like that, how long do you spend just playing?
It depends on the complexity of what I get into. Sometimes I nail it. There's one, after we do this one, I'll show you my favorite one I've ever done, and that one took me forever. I did it in Photoshop.
Well,
you can also do all of this in Photoshop. It's the same idea.
What's forever?
For me, like 4 or 5 hours, because but what I mean is, for a technique this simple, it's not like I was like doing an insanely complex thing.
Okay, I see what you're
I was just testing different images over and over again and tweaking things. Like at first she had a face, and then I got rid of the face, and then she kind of looked like an alien, so I had to add another galaxy on top of her head, which I'll show you in a little bit. But yeah, this is Photoshop Mix.
And Jampot Media, this is Adobe Photoshop Mix. Free on the App Store for iOS or Google Play for Android.
So what we're going to do here is, if you notice the edges here, you can see that this space image is not as black as the background that I shot, meaning the lightness is coming through. It's not a true black.
Right.
And I could just go in curves. That's one way to do this, to make these areas darker. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play with just using a really nice, I like to use the basic brush. Not sure what that says about me. I don't want any hardness. I want it to be gigantic. Oop. And I want also, sometimes your default will be, I don't know how to collapse it again, but it'll
Just
have this
go back to the
collapsed.
image, yeah. When you start painting that, it should go away.
Anyways, but that little gear slides that panel out. And I'm going to use the pencil for this. And I'm just erasing out just some of the edges of this, because I don't want a hard edge in my Galaxy photo, because it's giving away the fact that, you know, I've added this thing synthetically. Ooh, it's a little... Can I make it even bigger? Ooh, refine. Yeah, here we go. And I'm going to feather it, too. Oh, yeah. Make it even softer. More. There we go. Okay, so now she's kind of... Oh, maybe I'm also going to get rid of some of... I don't know if I want the smoke to just come from... I'm going to try one more thing.
One more thing.
I'm just going to see what it looks like if I kind of just, like, erase all this stuff. Maybe that was too much. But this is nice, because no matter what I'm doing...
So which mode?
I'm not actually hurting the pixels.
Which mode are you in?
I'm in basic, and I'm just erasing. I'm just trying to see. I don't really remember how the other image. Oh, this is kind of cool. I kind of like it just like floating behind her. But for now, I'm going to let her just live in it, because I'm not sure where I'm going with this yet. Again, a lot of it's trial and error. Even though I've done this image a couple times, every time I do it, it's a little bit different. So what I'm going to do here is now... I'm going to add another Galaxy in.
Yes, Anita, this is an iPad Pro with Apple Pencil.
And I think this one's like already like the shape of a head a little bit, so that's cool. I'm noticing one thing right away, though. This image is way hotter than the other Galaxy. The reds are popping way more, so what I'm also going to do is, right off the bat,
Turn the GoPro on.
we're going to just like lower the saturation a little bit to kind of get the color tones to match the other Galaxy we're working with. So I think these reds are pretty similar now. Instead of, again, this was the original. That's like, that would look really out of place. And then I'm just going to tone her down a little bit. And it's going to match the Galaxy you're blending it into. Oh, nice.
So you'll be able to see her gestures in just a second.
Boop. And again, I can't see what I'm doing because I don't have a blending mode on. We're going to go into screen. Looks pretty nice. And again, that's blending modes. Oh, I do use Photoshop on PC. I just kind of like took a break because we were in Photoshop on the PC before. And it's also pretty easy to do all this stuff in the apps. Because right now we're just playing with masks and blending modes.
I like the last answer.
Yeah, that's what's up. Thank you, Alejandra. But we'll switch back and forth. You can do, if this is the exact same thing, we can do it on the computer. Actually,
Yeah,
I can even, when we're done doing this, I can actually send this to my computer to do final tweaks. So a lot of times I'll sketch things out in the iPad, but I like to get really nuanced with how I'm getting things done. So sometimes I'll send this and it'll open in Photoshop, like straight up.
Completely layered.
With all the layers, and then I can get into it.
I show that during the morning stream.
Yeah, which is pretty sweet. And it also helps because sometimes I'm working with lower res comps, and I can just replace the file name and I can put a super high res TIFF in there that my MacBook Pro can handle, but that this guy can't.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah, we're sitting. I'm gonna move this around a tiny bit. Oh, all right. Oh, that's because I'm in here. I'm just going to make it almost the size of her head because this is going to become her head. And now, you know, having the face in there is totally cool, but I usually like to have this sort of anonymity in a lot of the photos of women or myself that I shoot. So I'm going to actually take the face out. Face off.
Take
Nicolas
it out,
Cage.
Or
What I'm going to actually do is I should have just done this in the beginning.
you're going to take it out or you're going to
Unless
hide it?
I don't think they've added a way for me to paint on here yet. Oop, cancel. So what I'm actually going to do is we're going to replace
Yeah, that's mixed now.
the layer of the woman. So we're going to kind of go backwards. This happens a lot where I'll realize I wanted something, but with a mobile workflow, sometimes you just got to get in and do some fun stuff. Oh, look, she's already in here from a previous Photoshop. So I'm going to take the same image. Sometimes when I'm working on projects like this, I actually sync up a whole folder so it's easy for me to find all these images in one place. It's like the only time I'm ever organized, that and when, again,
Or you
Leonardo DiCaprio cries
Or you
on
can
my
add
desktop.
them to a library.
And this is the same. Ooh, I hope I picked the same photo. Which one was it? I'm pretty sure it's this one.
It was the Ketchup Nebula.
The Ketchup Nebula. Oh, and I guess here, now we don't even have to worry. I'm going to crop this out because I don't need this blue stuff. We're kind of replacing the image I just had. So we're working backwards a little bit. I've decided that I want to change something. So here, I'm actually going to toggle off blend. Blend's pretty cool. It can make it so I'm coloring in, I believe it's a multiply effect, so I'm coloring in black, and what it's doing is no, it can't be blend. I meant multiply, because then it would be like a darker.
It'd be darker. It looks like a desaturation.
So it's just turning it, yeah.
Desaturating.
But that's not what I want. I want to actually paint her face out of here. So I don't really know what. Again, you can change the colors. You can change the opacity. I'm going to pretty much leave all of this as is. I'm actually going to keep my hardness here. The nice thing about the iPad is that I can get all up in there to get detailed.
Yes, you can.
And get really detailed with this if I wanted to. Like I would probably, again, like the great thing is, this is almost too hard maybe. The more hardness there is, the more likelihood I'm going to get some of those harder pixely edges. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it right now. A lot of this isn't going to be, it's going to be covered by that galaxy again.
No, for a second there, it looked like she was wearing like a black knitted mask.
Oh, really?
Ski mask.
Oh, God. And then maybe I'm actually going to, no hardness, gigantic. I'll just darken some of this over here. Okay. It doesn't have to be perfect right now, because what's going to happen is this whole process is so that the more of the galaxy is going to show up. So instead of her face showing through, it's going to be just the galaxy.
Because you basically covered it up with black.
So, all right, cool. So I like this. I'm going to save it to my camera roll, right? And then what I'm going to do is go back to where I was. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to delete you out of here. I'm going to add back in the layer I want, which I believe is in recent now. Recently added. There we go. My dragger. You can rearrange the layers in this, which is pretty cool. Boom. So it's not perfect, but it's getting there. I think I moved my layers a little bit. Make it really close to this.
So you scaled it down a bit?
Yeah. Anyway, so this is the idea. This is how you kind of get that original. And if you look, my hands are super shaky today, but if we go over, it usually turns out like this. When I like really keep going back and forth between fix and mix, getting the you don't want to load. Oh, I also try to do it to this cat. So you it doesn't. I guess I do sometimes use animals.
Poor cat.
This was the original one that I did for this series. That it was the first time I was handed an iPad Pro and these apps. And I thought it turned out really cool. I don't know why it's not opening though.
Are you connected to the network? Because I think you said you were on.
Oh yeah, I went on airplane mode.
You went on
I just
airplane
didn't want like weird text and pop-ups to happen. But you guys can see kind of the idea. There's a lot of ways to do this. You do it to cats. You do it to people. If you go further back, I was trying to make my arm come out of a black hole as if maybe I was coming from another dimension.
Yeah.
I like to use my arms and all sorts of stuff.
That's this one.
Yeah. But there's a lot of things you can do with this. This actually wasn't. This is an example of one that I didn't shoot on a black background, so I actually had to go in and cut out the arm manually, and then put it on this background. So. And
did you cut it out in mix or?
Yeah.
Okay.
With the auto selector, which was easy because it had enough of a. It had a very different background from my arm, so it was easy to cut out. It's got. I think the edges are a little funky.
So
but
Eleanor says everything's better with a cat.
Everything is better with. I mean, I love cats. I like dogs too, but I'm definitely a cat person. So I guess we can hop back in. I don't know, what time is it?
You have 25 minutes.
Oh, wow, we used a lot of time.
Yeah, we'll do a giveaway right now.
Wow. Oh, now I see. You guys made it so I can't pick up the green sheet anymore. You know me. I just want to make myself disappear.
You want me to pick a word or you got one?
Go ahead. Wait, we're not using this anymore, so it's okay. Yeah, well, you just roll through the background.
All right, I asked this question earlier, and we gave the answer, so you'll know if you were here earlier. And the question was, which version of, and this is what you're going to type in the chat to potentially win a year of Adobe Creative Cloud. So we're going to randomly pick a winner from the right answer. And what you're going to need to do is when I ask the question, you're going to need to say in your answer, Photoshop, and then the answer. So Photoshop, blank. And let me tell you what the question is now. So what version of Photoshop did adjustment layers appear in first? So Photoshop and the number. Oh, here they come.
Rob. We're having way too much fun with the green screen.
Nope, you can't just say the number. It's got to be Photoshop and the number. So Photoshop space the number. All right, some people are getting it right. Some people are getting it wrong. Most of you are getting it right.
Oh, I guess I gotta start. Yeah, I could, get it going again.
So the answer is Photoshop 4, not CS4. Oh. Photoshop 4. Back in the 90s was the first version to get, 1996 was the first version to get adjustment layers.
Let's see what we got going on here.
So you're going to put Photoshop 4 into Nightbot.
What were we doing earlier?
Okay, speaker winner.
Photoshop 4. You got it.
The winner is Lindsay Joel.
Lindsay?
Yeah, Joel.
Joel?
Yeah.
Lindsay Joel. Congratulations, you just won a year of Adobe Creative Cloud. Full version, full plan for an entire year. So if you already have Creative Cloud, then you just added a year on for free. If you don't already have Creative Cloud, then you've got a free year. Congratulations, Lindsay. Lindsay Joel.
Swopes, my friend just texted me, way to get ahead in life about you floating across the screen. That's good. Full of puns.
I missed it.
Oh,
did she do it?
You have to do that. Yeah, she just kind of floated in the background during the giveaway.
I was concentrating on the giveaway.
So
you'll have to do it again now.
We did this earlier. We did a little ocean in the coffee cup from my series Coffee Cup Manipulations.
You're welcome, Lindsay. Thanks for hanging out with us and knowing the right answer.
And I think, oh God, I still can't believe I did that this morning. We'll go back to this later. Oh God, it's real silly being me sometimes.
Come on, every now and then everyone should take a shower with all their clothes on.
Oh my God, just hilarious.
Because.
Let's see what we got going in here. I was thinking about maybe getting into a geometric reflection since we only have 20 minutes left. This one's one of my favorites. This is actually like with like the B-roll of what I shot for the Adobe Max. So if we just like really quickly do a little, again, Witchoria on all social media if you want to keep up with the stuff I'm doing. But we're gonna go to Behance because that's where everything's in nice little buckets.
Okay.
And so what I'm about to kind of redo to show you guys my geometric reflection series. It's a really easy series to do, but as you start to play, you're going to realize that certain images don't work as well as others. You need certain perspectives. There's a little more to it than meets the eye. But
And that's another thing about Photoshop. You might have an idea in your mind and even a technique to do it, and the technique might only be a few steps, but finding the right images for those few steps is what takes the time.
Yeah. So I went out, I helped, I was brought on to make the identity for Adobe Max last year, so I flew out to San Diego where the conference was, and I shot locations around San Diego. This is in San Diego County, but not in the city, and these are in the city. This is of downtown, and this is Sunset Cliffs, but this is a really amazing place called Anza Borrego, and we went on this crazy adventure. One of the creative directors, AJ, has this really souped up, crazy Jeep. And it was like off-roading. The other creative director, Kashka, almost got a little bit sick because it was like, whoa, but I was like, woo, it was like a roller coaster ride. And we get out to this point. It was really funny because when you're driving up, it's really flat.
I could so see you doing
Yeah, it's really flat, and you're like, what is this? This is nothing like the photos. We got screwed. And then you walk 10 feet, and it's like, whoa. And it just you can see for miles. It's insane. It's the coolest place I've ever been. And so we used these different areas to do the logo, the lockup. And then I had leftovers, obviously, because I shoot a million photos everywhere I go.
By the way.
Thank you. I'm really proud of this one.
Done.
I never it had never even crossed my mind that I could do it with typography because some typographic forms are geometric.
Right.
So it doesn't really work on. You can play around with it, but it doesn't work really well on skinny letter forms.
No.
You gotta have some chunk to it for this effect
to be
to
able
work.
to see through it. Yeah.
Anyway, so what we're gonna do is, I'm just gonna live life on the edge a little bit. I'm gonna delete out all this stuff, and we're gonna start from scratch.
No, don't delete.
Oh wait, not that.
Not that scratch. Not that far.
Just want this. I don't really need this background layer. I don't know why that's in there. So we're gonna start with this image. I know it's a little blown out, but I really like it. It captured the spirit and the energy of reaching this place. It's the biggest kind of photo gig I ever had, and this was a huge, weird excursion adventure to get out to this point. It took 2 hours of driving and then 30 minutes of off-roading on this crazy soft sand, which is really easy to get stuck in.
Yeah.
I actually went back right before I had my talk at Max, and I thought I had to go back to the desert. To the place that I shot these photos in right before I spoke at Max.
Right.
But I rented a really dinky Jeep. I didn't know Jeeps could be two-wheel drive, but they can. And there was a moment where everyone was like, don't do it, you're going to get stuck. And I was like, let's throw caution to the wind. And I somehow was able to get back to Fonts Point to take more photos with my friends. But it was
remember earlier when I was saying, when Swopes was up here and we were saying, don't go on the railroad tracks. Don't drive a two-wheel Jeep or two-wheel drive Jeep in the desert in soft sand.
Yeah.
You'll get stuck.
You could.
And, if you're in the desert, you might, not get help. So what time of year was this?
This was in February, and I went back again in October. And if I had gone a little bit earlier, there's 1 week where this desert is covered in flowers.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm trying to go back. I'm obsessed with the desert now. I'm trying to go as often as I can.
And remind us again, where?
Anza Borrego. It's right outside of San Diego County.
Okay.
There's lots of little things around everyone's cities. If you usually just go 2 hours away from wherever you're posted up, there's usually... America's crazy. We've got all sorts of it's insane how many landscapes there are. There's the
emptiness.
ocean cliffs in San Diego, and then an hour and a half away, there's a huge, vast desert of just open plains and these crazy mountains. I think it's because it's on what makes the earthquakes? The
Fault line.
yeah. So there's lots of mountains, obviously, on a fault line. I didn't tell my friends, but there had been a lot of seismic activity right before we
Of
went
course
out.
not.
But I
Did
was
not
like, you're
tell your
coming with me
friends,
anyways.
And you went out there with a two-wheel drive Jeep.
But it was good. But no, it was good. I got into my element. So this, I actually had a couple ideas when I first played with this photo. I struggled between using a rectangle or using a circle. I ended up with a rectangle, which I'm going to do now, but I'm also going to do a circle so that I can get your opinion on it, because I'm curious what you think. So for the geometric reflections, I'm sure most of you could probably figure out what I'm about to do before I even do it if you saw what happens after. But I duplicate the layer, and then I flip it. And there's obviously shortcuts to flip it, but I just like to flip it that way. Move it above. And I'm going to do a clipping mask. I love clipping masks. And then I usually like bring her down a little bit. Actually, what I'm going to do is the layer I actually play with is not the layer. Again, I'm not messing with any of the pixels. Goodbye hardness. Hello gigantic brush size. I'm talking huge. Even bigger than this. Oop. Okay. Because I want a really soft. I want it to kind of like really subtly emerge from this mountain below. And sometimes what I do is, like you'll see in the Max logo, if I go back really quickly, this isn't the same image. This is the image I'm working with now on a different part of the same desert. And sometimes you can get really interesting shapes. You don't want it to look exactly like a mirror sometimes. So sometimes you want to shoot lots of different angles of the same location with the same lighting, so that the photos still go really well together because they match. But
so
you can change it. Instead of it being so reflective, it can be a completely different
was
area.
this your first pass at this idea, and it worked, it clicked, you didn't have to go any further, you didn't have to experiment?
No, well, I've been doing these geometric reflections for like 5 or 6 years now. And I know it's a simple series, but I really enjoy doing them. And
Adobe just said yes.
And it got some attention. So again, like putting your work out there on all the networks is really important. I finally grouped them all together in a Behance project. Before, everything lived scattered all over the place, but Behance is where you bucket portfolio pieces.
Yes.
And I finally put them all together, and somebody happened to look back, and I got featured by Adobe, or by Behance, but Behance is Adobe.
Right.
And it caught the eye of some people from Adobe Create, and then I started to get more followers on Behance, and then I had a Create article, and the Create article, I'm pretty sure must be spread through a newsletter or something.
It is.
And it caught the eyes of the creative directors, and then they became familiar with my work and reached out. So there's a really funny ecosystem where I know it's sort of a pain sometimes to manage all these networks all over the place, but it really is important to put it everywhere. The only reason I'm where I'm at now is because of Tumblr, and the only reason I'm where I'm at sitting in this chair right now with Adobe is because of Behance. And everything has this an ecosystem where certain blogs follow Behance. Like I think Huffington Post does Behance, but some of the other ones follow Tumblrs or popular Tumblrs that reblog. There's a really weird feeding system of little blogs that actually feed the bigger blogs. Yeah.
So, 2 things. So, for those of you watching and like, what you talking about with Behance? Behance allows you to post projects. So you can include images, videos, audio into a project, and that project can be made up of the before and afters. It can be made up of the process, the work in progress, and of course the final work. And people can appreciate the project. They can add it to their list of projects, so forth and so on. My question is, how often do you update your Behance?
Only when I have. So I'm very particular about it because I feel like when I group them together, that's when people start to talk about something I'm doing.
Okay.
Because people like things in
So
buckets.
you don't just post one-offs?
No.
Okay.
Behance is not for one-offs in my mind. Well, unless you have one project where you have a thorough process that you can show the workflow. And for some people, if it's a really banger piece, you could probably get away with it. But I also always work in series because I like to do things repetitively because every time I do something again, I learn something new about the process. So if I open the first, oh my God, I bet I have it in here. If I open the first file I ever did of these, it's really disgusting.
And pearly cream cheese, I'm right there with you. I don't update my Behance nearly often enough.
I don't have it in here, but it's bad. The first one I ever did of this is rough. This is a pretty early one, but you can, I can just see how much the technique changes over time. Dang, I really wish I had it. But you can even see like the bottom of the square. Like it's not good.
Well,
but,
I look back at my old work and I'm like, oh my God, how did I ever post that? So
but
we all do that.
It's also a fun hobby. I do go back through old pieces and like I'll be like, oh my God, like what have I done to the pixels? And because it was like from something I made like 5 years ago, and I redo it with the correct process now, and it's kind of a neat way to look back at something you had done and then redo it, and it's sort of looks the same, but it's usually more polished.
In photography, I've done the same thing.
That's like my TBT thing.
I've gone back and retouched photos that I now have better, newer techniques.
Yeah.
Than back 6 years ago, 7 years ago when I took that photograph first time.
I'm actually gonna. This white is too white in my opinion. So I'm going to...
So Brian Evans is saying, please, can you do a letter A?
Yeah, we can try. Oh, yeah, see, that's not as bad. I don't actually have one laid out, but, like, you know what an A looks like? And A's are tricky.
Why
because
are
they're
A's
triangles.
Tricky? Okay.
So this looks really good on these blockier shapes. It did turn out really cool at night because I have this weird I like to add these kind of stars dripping in these reflections when they're of cityscapes. I'm going to shoot one tonight. I'm also going to try to time lapse it so maybe it'll move. But an A is essentially a triangle, so we're just going to go to our polygon tool. I only want 3 sides. Ooh, that's tiny. You're a little baby polygon. This is like way too skinny. I'll make it a little fatter. There's a couple ways to do this. I could.
I see where you're going with this already.
I'm gonna just duplicate. I'm gonna keep all this on actually. We're gonna keep. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna click off. I'm getting ahead of myself here. I'm gonna group this so that we can toggle these on and off and cross compare. I'm gonna go here. Now when I did this for the Adobe logo, I actually went in Illustrator and I extended the shape. I work in Illustrator a lot with vector objects. You can do it in here, but I'm much quicker with the pen tool and stuff in there. It's just because I'm a creature of habit. So we're just gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna rotate. And we're just gonna really quickly just...
So duplicate the cityscape or the landscape, rotate it.
Create a clipping
add
mask.
Your shape, create a clipping mask, so it's masked inside the shape.
Now you're gonna notice this, the reason, I'm gonna group this too. I'm gonna change it, but I'm gonna group it right now so we can just toggle on and off between the two. The reason I think this one is more successful is because the shape's being extended down. See, V would be even harder, and I'll show you why. At least with an A, I've got a solid base to work from. So I can add in, we're gonna get back in here. I'm just gonna, so I can see what I'm doing. And this is not gonna be perfect because I'm trying to do it quickly because we're running out of time.
Yeah, we got about 7 minutes.
Ah!
7 minutes.
I don't need this to be a clipping mask. So I'm gonna set this below here. It's probably not perfect. This is why I do things in Illustrator because I like, look at this. But you know, you can do it in here too. And then what I'm gonna do is, I believe I can combine these images. And I'll convert it to a smart object. Boom. So now I've got, it's being extended, so I can do what I did before, where I go in on the polygon layer, not on the image layer, because this is what's holding the shape.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna just go in, go in with the eraser and kind of eyeball it right now. I don't like that very much. But yeah, you can do this with lots of shapes. I was even thinking about maybe like trying to start drawing more freeform.
Now, did you ever think about, like, for a shape like this,
See this? I don't think this is
taking,
successful.
like, the first polygon you drew, the triangle, duplicate it and make a smaller one and put it inside?
Oh, we could. Well, that's sort of what happens with the X here.
Yeah.
So if you look, the Adobe Max. So I didn't make the actual like lockup itself. It already is Adobe Max. It already is. Come on. Right over here, you can see it in the corner. So it has. There's a little bit of a play on translucence in the X here. But this has already been created. What happened is I was able to adapt it for the direction we were going for the identity.
So the A was already that shape. You
Yeah.
didn't have to worry about that. Okay, I
So
got
that
it.
is the Max A.
Right,
Here
right.
we're just making up our own. I kind of actually like this. There's an interesting movement now happening because I didn't just flip it. I don't even know what angle. It's probably like 45 degrees even further. It almost looks like there's the same way it's like wind swept or again the way water would work. I mean, this whole thing used to be, this whole area, the reason it looks like this is because it used to be underwater.
Yeah.
It's really cool. But yeah, no, so you can play with these a lot. It's again not a super complicated Photoshop process, but once you start getting into it, you're going to start realizing that some things just don't want to be flipped. If your perspective's in, like, from here, because I'm higher up, it's easy, but, like, for instance, what I was doing today.
Now, did you take that into account when you're shooting the photos?
Yeah, because now I'm really familiar with the series. So,
Got
like,
it.
for instance, like, this is so flat, you can't reflect this. Like, I can open her up. It's probably not, like, the greatest shot. Play with it a little bit. Yeah, like blue. There we go. Just pretend like this is a great photo. So if I do the same thing here, I'm just gonna we'll pretend we're doing it with a square. It looks okay, but like it's not like, this is not the optimal use of this because this is too flat. There's not enough going on for the
Down,
reflection
yeah,
to
right,
really work.
To reflect, right.
So there's a
Yep.
lot.
Okay, we got about 2 minutes.
Ah!
Ah,
I can show you. See, right there. See, like,
yeah, that wouldn't work. I
like
get
it's. I mean, there's probably something there. It's closer to. Again, we'll just look at one last thing before I shut down. Another brick in the wall. Again, like I've been using these desert shots for everything. This is like, I'm obsessed with it.
So that's what you call your folded landscapes?
Yeah.
Got it.
But this is similar to what I just did. So you can actually do some really fun stuff where you can also, I also play with the shapes a little bit and make them look like they're mirrors jutting out of the ground. And that can work with flatter images like this to make it seem like there's, yeah. So you can do, this effect does a lot of, I mean, it's simple, but you can do a lot of really fun stuff with it. And the more you play with it, the more you're going to realize, like, you can do these weird mirroring effects where you can interrupt space and dimension,
All
sort
right,
of.
I'm inspired to steal your idea now.
Heck yeah.
All right. Okay, so we are done with this particular stream. Up next, at the top of the hour, will be Mike Campau. And Mike will be doing CGI in Photoshop. So computer-generated imagery. He did a fantastic job yesterday, integrated some Adobe stock. It was just awesome. And can't wait to see what he's going to do next. So thank you, Witchoria.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for watching. Thanks and congratulations to the winner of the prize today. And we will see, I'll be back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Pacific time with Swopes. Take care. We'll catch you on the next one, or we'll catch you at the top of the hour. Few minutes. Bye.